I have some numbers to share with you. These, I'm doing time, that's good. Every year we collect drug testing numbers from the various commissions. The numbers I'm about to share with you reflect the drug testing program of all the commissions except for Texas. There were some anomalies in the Texas number, so they could not be included in this. And what we will do is we will release this report once we get the corrected Texas numbers. In 2021, U.S. state racing regulatory authorities, not only in the United States but also including Puerto Rico, performed over 243,627 post-race and out-of-competition tests on racehorses participating in pari-mutuel contests. There were 1,150 adverse analytical findings resulting in regulatory action. Of those, 1,021 were detected in post-race samples and 129 in out-of-competition samples. There were 765 drug violations in flat racing contests. That includes quarter horse and thoroughbred, and 256 in standardbred contests. There were 31,209 post-race samples taken in greyhound contests for those states that still regulate greyhound racing. There were 10 adverse analytical findings resulting in regulatory action. Collectively, the ARCI member horse racing authorities conduct the largest and most transparent anti-doping program than any other U.S. professional sport. And there is a 99.53% compliance rate with the anti-doping and medication rules. 19 states conducted a total of 6,156 out-of-competition testing of horses in 2021, with test results showing no adverse analytical findings in 97.9% of the samples tested. The ARCI classification of foreign substances is the bedrock for the North American horse racing anti-doping program, and many racing authorities around the world will rely upon it as an important reference document as it helps regulators assess the degree to which a particular substance, if found, may affect performance. In 2021, only 2.4% of the drug violations in flat races and 4.7% of those in standardbred races involved Class 1 doping substances that have absolutely no reason to ever be in a horse. Class 2 violations, also considered doping in most instances, accounted for 6.4% of the violations in flat racing and 4.7% of those in standardbred races. Class 3 violations accounted for a comparable percentage in both flat and standardbred races, 21.3% and 21.5% respectively. The overwhelming majority of drug-related violations, almost 70%, are reflected in overages of largely therapeutic medications noted as Class 4 and 5 substances for their reduced ability to affect performance. The ARCI recommended penalty guidelines contained in the model rules contain progressive penalties based on the substance found and whether an offense is a first time, second, or third time, or indicative of a pattern of non-compliance. Anti-doping and medication control in U.S. thoroughbred races will shift soon to the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority. It is unclear the extent to which they will build their program on the long-standing ARCI standards, and we look forward to working with them and understanding where they intend to go in this area as it develops. The HISA Act requires them to use the ARCI multiple medication point system, which was based on U.S. federal sentencing guidelines. Just as in previous years, the U.S. horse racing anti-doping program numbers track those of WADA and USADA regulated sports, meaning everyone is doing as good or as bad a job as the others are doing. Are people cheating or trying to cheat? Absolutely. But that goes on in every sport. We all have the same problem and must constantly remain on guard for new ways to dope and new ways to catch those who do, regardless of whether the athlete is human or equine. There are many opinions about the extent of the problem, but nobody truly knows. The only way to judge is to look at the data from those programs that are transparent. Everything else is conjecture. Perhaps because there are so many horse races and so many horses that are tested, that it appears worse in horse racing, but when you look at the percentage of adverse analytical findings, it is in line with the USADA and WADA regulated sports. The implementation of the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act, Anti-Doping and Medication Control Program will bring total uniformity in laboratory testing, and in those few instances where some commissions have departed from the ARCI model rules. But lab testing is not the only way to tackle this issue. I just take note of the work of the New York Gaming Commission that brought over 1,600 drug violations against a harness trainer by the name of Lou Pena. And they did that based on paper audits. They didn't depend on the lab. The challenge for all of us is we need to be creative and determined with an element of surprise in order to discourage those who would cheat from doing so. That's what I want to do with those numbers. And once we get the Texas numbers, we'll publish all of it on our website.